type of experiment I've seen online on YouTube on how you can take a large Madagascar like this, chop it into threes, and get 3 separate Madagascars. So I'm going to give it a shot. Another thing that I learned is that you can actually propagate these guys in water. So I'm going to try that along with this. Before we begin everything, please join my Madagascar Madness group. It's a great Facebook group. We got a lot of great people there, and you learn a lot of stuff. And you get to learn about other Madagascars. And that's pretty much it. So before I begin, I'm probably going to be dividing this video up into multiple spots because some of it's going to be time consuming to do and end up being a 3-hour video. So what you're going to need is you're going to need a large knife. As you can see, the diameter of this guy is pretty big. You're going to need your measuring tape, and since the diameter is so big, you're going to need a large knife. I have a machete that's already been hit with the alcohol, rubbing alcohol. You're going to need distilled water. Someone on the group said that it would probably be a good idea to use distilled over tap water just because of all the chemicals. For my little experiment, I'm going to be using cinnamon powder, not just for the tops, but also to put it in the water, and also take root, which is root growth hormone. Electrical tape, marker, that, and your containers that you want to put them in. So what I'm going to start out with is this guy is roughly 48 inches. So I'm going to cut them into 3 equal parts. So what you want to do is you want to just get out the 48, just kind of lay it beside, divided by 3, which is 16 inches. So I'm just going to take the marker. I'm not going to do it on the bark, probably just mark it on the pins or the needles. So I have 16 here. Maybe I'll get it a little on the bark, because that's probably going to go underwater anyway. Let's see, and 32. Okay, good mark there. And the last is 40 to 48. So, like I said, it may not be exactly 3 equal parts, but it's close enough. So now you're done with that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this up, but because of the way I want to do my experiment, I do want to start the containers first. What you want to do is you want to get a container that is big enough to hold the butt end of the Madagascar into the container, and then you're going to want to have a lid of some sort to kind of hold up the Madagascar. And then what I'm going to do, I got these from the Dollar Tree, which is great for what I'm working for. Hopefully they'll be able to support the height. I'm kind of hoping so, since it's just going to be a little over a foot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to at least cut out the center of this, and then after I cut, I'm going to custom cut these to every little section, because as you can tell, the diameter of this section is going to be a lot larger than the diameter of this section. So you can't just cut them all into a blank pattern. So before I start, this Madagascar came from one of the members in my group. It ended up getting trunk or root rot and had to be cut, and we made a trade, and I wanted to do an experiment with a Madagascar. However, none of mine are at the height that I really would be willing to do that with. So I got this guy. Alright, so real quick, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them into 3 parts. guy. It's just how you normally would with a cutting, or if you cut off the top of a Madagascar. You're going to want to put cinnamon on the top. So I'm just looking at the side of this. I've had this sitting out and it's been a little rainy, but the trunk is still good. So I'm going to put cinnamon powder on the top while the wound is still fresh. That's the first guy. All right. Okay, now we got the first guy down. Now I'm gonna wait to cut the other two pieces real quick because I want to show you exactly how I plan on cutting the lids of these little bowls here. And then once I do that, I'll stop the video and then I'll do those and start it back up. So on my little experiment, I'm gonna have one that has the callus on it already. I'm just gonna put it in distilled water by itself. Then I'm gonna have those two over there. I'm going to cut them. One, I'm going to put cinnamon powder in, and then the other one, I'm going to put root growth hormone in without letting them callus over, in hopes that maybe that would encourage their roots to come out faster. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this guy. Turn this upside down. Now this has the little heat vent on here. That's no matter what you're doing, you're cutting that out. So if you can't get it to sit on top with that, you can just cut it out right away. But what I want to do is, hopefully I'm getting this all just right. So I'm going to put him on here, dead center. And I'm not sure how well you can tell, but his thorns are coming just right to the outer circle of this lid. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put him aside. And this is the outer circle I was talking about here. So I take a box cutter. First, I'm going to get rid of this small spot right here. Now this doesn't have to be perfect, and I can guarantee you it's not going to be any means perfect, at least on my end here. When you're doing this, please be careful because you could probably easily cut yourself, most likely. Someone also on my YouTube channel, I can't remember their name, but they also suggested doing it this way. I believe she said the cutting had to be at least 6 inches. So I'm hoping having double that would increase the chances that it will propagate faster, but we shall see. I have that, and you can tell it's definitely gonna be way too small for the top of this. So what I'm gonna try to do is, because I don't want to cut it out too far, because then I won't have something that I'll really be able to hold it on to. So I'm going to just most likely cut a little wider. You can see there's a little groove. The best thing with this is it's always better to cut a little too less than too much, because you can't put more on, but you can always take more off. So what I'm going to do with this guy here is I'm going to flip him over for now. And you always want to make sure you remember which side is up, because I've heard that is very important when doing this type of procedure. So, not sure how well you can see this. Let me just check. Okay. See, it's a little sloshy right there. I'm going to hold it up against that. Let's get that on there just right. Trying to make sure I can get it on there. I don't have someone doing my video with me today. So I'm going to do that. As you can tell, it does go right out to this here. So you can't tell, but there is a little groove right in here. So I'm going to continue to cut out to that little outside there. So you want to be careful for something like this. It's a little bit of a crack, so I'm just going to go back to this side. That is why I got these guys from Dollar Tree. So if it cracks and breaks, it is really no loss. There we go. Like I said, my cutting skills on this are by nowhere perfect. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try to see how much more I have to cut off. I know it looks like there's a lot more to be cut off, but there's a little method to my madness when I do this. See, as you can tell, just checking to make sure it can be seen in there, because I had one video where it couldn't be. As you can tell, it still has a little bit to go. but for the most part it's okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put little slats in them, kind of like that. This would probably be achieved easier by having scissors, but I did not grab them. I have done something similar to this with other cuttings, but I've never really videotaped it, so I figured this time while I'm trying it, I'll give it a shot. Now, I'm going to put that lid on this Madagascar. Okay. Bring this a little closer, so you can kind of see it better. Okay. You're gonna want to try to push it on there as best as possible. As you can tell, it's gonna break a little more. What you can do is, because Plumeries have a beautiful spiral set of thorns, sometimes once you get them going on there, don't recommend doing that, but once you can get them on that spiral, they should be okay. For some reason this does not want to go on here. I'm going to actually try getting a pair of scissors. Alright, this is all a trial and error. ideally I wanted to try to put it on from bottom to go to the top. But since I'm getting a lot of resistance, I'm going to turn it over. There we go, the other round. You want to make sure this is face down. And see, this is what I love about Limerias. They have that beautiful spiral thorns. Now what I'm going to do is I do want it to kind of suspend a little bit in the water. I know I'm probably not going to have that big of a clearance just because of how heavy it is. So this guy, he is just going to get just plain distilled water with nothing else in it. So what I'm going to do now is just put him in the container just to see where he sits and how well he's going to sit in there. I have a feeling he's not going to do very well sitting. Actually a lot better than I thought. I'm not incredibly worried about the thorns because eventually when he goes in the ground, those thorns that are down there are probably realistically going to be under the dirt. So, as you can tell, it does have, you can't see it very well, but there is space between the bottom and the base of the plant. Now, if you wanted to ensure that there's extra space, you could always pull it down further. And just get it to a position that you like. Like I said, this is just an experiment for myself. I will post updates on the plants just to show how it's going. So, I like this height a little better. You can clearly tell it's off of there. So, before I put any water in there, I'm going to put today's date, which is the 8th, 16th, 8/16/19, because they said it takes about 3 months when you're doing it this method. And I'm going to put that it was calloused and distilled. Okay, and that is it for this one. I'm going to go get the other one set up and I will continue on with the video. Okay, now I have all my sections done. This is the base, that's the middle, this is the top. I divided them into 3. Top, I'm just going to do root hormone and distilled water. Middle guy, cinnamon, distilled water. And like I said in the beginning, top guy will be just callus and distilled water. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my distilled. I'm going to fill it up a little bit because once I put the plant in, it's obviously going to go a little higher, the water level. Not sure about that much. And then I made sure I labeled all of them. So this way I can edit that later. Then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to look at the water level. Now, someone was saying to make sure the water level is about an inch, inch and a half deep. So hold on one second and I'll show you. Just adding a little more water. Show one here real quick. That's about roughly where it should be. So this guy is all done. And then for the other two over here, I'm going to do the same thing. However, we're going to have cinnamon and root beer log. Now, before I put in the cinnamon and then the root powder, I want to make sure I have enough water. So I'm going to put it in like this. And I'm going to check. I'm going to do the same with this one here. And that guy's free on the nose. Now, I'm going to take the tops off. And I'm going to put powder in. You don't have to have that much, just kind of all came out. Probably doesn't need nearly that much. Actually, I'm just gonna pour a little out. And dilute it again with the stir it up a little. And then put him in. As you can tell, I have the black electrical tape. That's because I cut too far out for this one. And that one's done. And then this last guy over here, he's gonna have cinnamon. I noticed that he had a little trunk rot going on the side. It looks like it's not incredibly bad. I think it was just made worse by when I put the lid on him. So he's gonna get the cinnamon in the water. think when I change the water, which is every couple of days, I'm actually going to pre-make it and shake it instead of stirring it like this. And then, in addition to that, on this guy specifically, I'm going to put it on the little wounds over here. Now when you're done with these, if you do happen to see some spots on the pieces that you cut, that got a little scraped up or whatever, definitely put some cinnamon powder on them. Now, on all of these cuttings, I did not, not on all of them, I did not put any root growth hormone or cinnamon powder on the fresh cuts, and on the callus guy, I didn't put anything. I just put him straight into the distilled water. As you can tell, this guy got a little rough. So I'm hoping this guy will be okay, and that's why he specifically got the cinnamon. And then you're just gonna carefully look over. And if you see a spot, get that up. So, and then I'm gonna keep a close eye on this. I think I may have waited just a tad long to get them to do this. However, it's pretty firm, so I think it might just be surface. So what you're gonna do with these guys is every few days you're gonna change the water. I'm hoping with the cinnamon one, because it has an antifungal and whatnot, that it won't have to be replaced as often, but we'll see. This is the top stalk, and as you can tell, he already had some leaves coming out of him, so we'll see. Anyway, that's this, and I'll post soon on any updates that I have with these guys.